I want to give a special shout out to all my patrons first. Thank you so much to my Bibliospren, Bibliohowlers, and my Bibliomancers. It means a lot to me that you give me your extra support for my passion and hobby. Hi everyone, Petrik here. The month of May is approaching the end, and now I think it is time to talk about all the books that I acquired this month. And apparently, this month is the biggest book haul of the year so far. The biggest monthly book haul of the year so far, because this month I got more than 30 books. Yeah, I know that is insane, I know, but well, this is the part, one of the struggles of living in a third world country, because we cannot predict when books will arrive, and they have decided to just arrive this month. Not all of them, but plenty of them decided to arrive this month. So yeah, I will just start immediately from the books that I purchased, and as promised in my last month's book haul video, I will start by talking about the books that I acquired digitally. This month, I got two books, two ebooks. The first one is The Witchwood Crown by Ted Williams. This is the first book in the Last King of Western Art series, which is the sequel series to Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn trilogy. I have read only the first book, The Dragon Bone Chair, which I absolutely love. I cannot wait to continue to the Stone of Farewell, and also finally the third book, to Green Angel Tower. Once I'm done with that, I plan to tackle the sequel series, of course. Now, I don't know whether that will happen within this year or not, because I heard The Navigator's Children has been postponed to the year 2024, but we will see, we will see. And as you can see from behind here, I already own a physical copy of The Witchwood Crown, but it was discounted this month, so I might as well get it. And the second ebook that I bought this month is The White Luck Warrior by R. Scott Baker. This is the second book in the Aspect Warrior series, which is the sequel series to, I think, the Prince of Nothing trilogy. Yeah, I haven't started reading this series yet. The White Luck Warrior was the only book that I haven't owned yet. I own every book in the second Apocalypse series digitally, and this was the last one. Now I have all of them, and now I'm ready to tackle the series whenever I'm in the right mood. And yes, I will start, of course, from the Prince of Nothing. Now let's talk about the physical books that I bought that arrived this month, and I have three books to talk about. The first one is The Blackguard by A.J. Smith. This is, I think, the first book in Chronicles of the Long War, and this was the last book that I didn't own from this series. This is a quartet. I heard this is a criminally underrated epic fantasy series. I don't know too much about it. On the front here, it is written George R. Martin meets Lovecraft, and that's all I know. I got the second, third, and fourth book on a huge discount, and although I have no idea when I will tackle this series, I might as well get the first book to complete the set. So whenever I feel like I'm in the right mood to tackle this series, I will know I already own all the books. And then the second physical book that arrived this month, it is The Adventures of Amina Al-Sirafi by Shannon Chakraborty. I haven't read anything by Shannon Chakraborty yet, but I heard this is a wonderful place to start reading her books, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, this one takes place in the same world as the Devabad trilogy, but they're not completely related to one another, except for a cameo appearance. I think that's all I know. But honestly, I bought this book because it has such a gorgeous cover art. Take a look at this US cover art. Now, the UK cover art do look good, but this one, in my opinion, look much better. The cover art by Ivan Belikov is very striking, and I look forward to reading this one. I was going to read The Adventures of Amina Al-Sirafi this month, but I do not think I can fit this into my schedule this month. So this one will be on my June TBR. I've heard many wonderful things about Chakraborty's books. Hopefully this one will be a hit for me. And then the final physical book that I bought that arrived this month is another chunky book, and it is The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. And yeah, the cover art, just like The Adventures of Amina Al-Sirafi, is illustrated by Ivan Belikov as well. And now I heard this one, I heard many great things about this one, except that it has, I think, anticlimactic ending. That's all I know about it. But yeah, this is a thick one. This is the UK hardcover edition, the reprinted edition, and I probably shouldn't have bought this one. The reason behind this is that, well, I will talk about that later, but for now, these are the 5 books that I bought in the month of May, and they have arrived to my place. Yay! At least that's what I thought. But as some of you might have seen from my Kickstarter ranking videos, I also got a copy of Unsold, Soulsmith, and also Black Flame by Will White in hardcover format. This was from their Kickstarter project, Kickstarter campaign that I pledged last year. Honestly, as I said in that video, although I love the quality of the paper and binding used for these hardcovers, I am I must admit I'm slightly disappointed with the final product because there are not enough additional content considering the success, the immense success that this Kickstarter campaign has. There will be more additional content from these hardcovers. And I really hope that will happen in the next books, in the next Kickstarter campaign for the remaining books in the Cradle series. And a few days ago, I went to Big Bad Wolf book fair festival and I got 3 books there. I got Forge, and then also Risen by Benedict Jaka. This is book number 11 and 12 in the Alex Verus series, a series that supposedly will be suitable to those who love the Dresden Files by Jim Butcher. But this one doesn't take place in United States, it takes place in London or in United Kingdom. Plus, the series is completed already, so I might as well get the 11 and the final book in the series while it's there in the Big Bad Wolf Book Fair Festival. And I also got the 3rd book in the Vagrant trilogy. So yeah, I don't have the previous books in the series yet for these 2, but because I saw them at a very cheap price, I might as well get them. And I heard many great things about the Vagrant trilogy, but I expect that for this science fantasy series, I expect that I will need to be in the right reading mood before I tackle this series. Moving on to the next section of the book haul video, it's time to talk about the 3 self-published fantasy books that I got this month. Well, to be more precise, I actually only got one physical self-published fantasy book this month. But I want to talk about 2 books that arrived last month, but I forgot to mention them in my last book haul video because there were, well, fortunately, too many books in my book haul video. But the first one is The Seeds of War by João Silva, and this is the first book in the Smokesmith series. Plenty of readers in my comment section have been pushing me to read this as soon as possible. I've heard that Seeds of War is a character-driven grimdark fantasy debut with a unique magic system that is, I think, related to smoke. That's really all I know, but I predict, based on what I heard, based on the viewers' comments, I might at least have a great time with this one. And then the next self-published fantasy book that I got is again another one that I received last month, and it is, of course, the one and only The Way of Eden by my friend and now author Philip Chase. This is the first book in the Eden trilogy. The second book, The Prophet of Eden, I think is slated to be released next month. Yeah, next month. So yeah, that's really rapid release date for the trilogy. Unlike Seeds of War though, I have read this one. I did a review of this one on my YouTube channel. And inside here, Philip actually wrote, the friendships are by far the best thing about BookTube, and I'm so honored that you are my friend. And I think that's really nice of him, especially, remember, I did not give his book a 5 stars rating. Actually, speaking of 5 stars, I only gave 4 books 5 stars rating this year so far. But anyway, I'm really glad that Philip gave this book to me, and he is looking like he's becoming a very professional author when it comes to receiving criticisms and all that. And finally, the last self-published fantasy book that I got is The Sword of Mercy and Wrath, which is the first book in the Sword of Dominion by N.C. Kosis. Yeah, this is a new cover art. The previous cover art simply did not match the content of the book. Yeah, the previous cover art really felt like it is a YA fantasy novel, but supposedly this one is a grim dark fantasy novel, and I think this new cover art by Nino Is, who is the cover artist behind 11 Cycle by Kian Ardalan. I think this new cover art will match the grim dark content and grim dark pitch that the author is shooting for much better. Plus, it will match the cover art and the cover design for the second book much more than the first one. So let's move on to the next section of today's book haul video. Before I talk about all the books sent to me by traditional publishers and also the special editions that I got from Broken Binding, I want to talk about 5 books first that sent to me by one of my patrons. So apparently one of my patrons was super kind enough, her name is Barbara. She is super kind enough to actually send me 5 books on top of becoming one of my patrons. Now, this is not something I recommend or force any of my patrons to do. No, they already become one of my patrons and that already means a lot to me. But Barbara insisted on doing this after hearing Book Depository closed down, which means my option to buy physical books has become so limited now, and then Blackwell's also stopped sending physical books to my place. So yeah, it is a pain. Becoming an international reader can be a pain, yeah. But that's also why I'm so thankful of these gifts. And plus, she knows that these are some of the books that I really want to read. And the first one is The Cruel Gods by Trudy Skies. Ta-da! Look, it's so beautiful, right? This is the first book in the 13th Hour series. I heard that this is a steampunk and also a Final Fantasy inspired fantasy novel. I haven't read this one, but this is, I think this was on the runner-up spot on SPFBO 8 competition, which I think is amazing with a very high average rating as well. I will definitely read this one. I think so far 2 books are out in the series, and yeah, this is a hardcover edition. Thank you so much to Barbara for sending me a copy of this one. It's getting so much more harder to actually acquire physical books for a self-published fantasy books now in my place. And for the next 3 books I got from her, all of them are books and hardcovers by Jenny Wirtz. Yeah, that is impressive. The first one is Storm Wardens by Jenny Wirtz. Yeah, I don't know what this is about because all I know about Jenny Wirtz books is actually a Reform Empire trilogy and also Words of Light and Shadow. But I'm thankful for this gift. I actually plan to read all of Jenny Wirtz's books someday because my enjoyment with To Write Hell's Chasm, oh, that's another book that I've read from Jenny Wirtz. Yeah, To Write Hell's Chasm and also Reform Empire Trilogy have made me decided to definitely try reading all of her books. I think it is a must try for me. And with that in mind, she also sent me a copy of The Curse of the Misread in hardcover format. Isn't that so amazing? And yeah, this cover art is actually done by Jenny Wirtz as well. And if you missed the news, well, Jenny Wirtz has mentioned that the 11th and final book in Words of Light and Shadow is slated to be released in May 2024. So yeah, it won't be long before I finally start reading Words of Light and Shadow. I expect this will happen in the month of June or July. And yeah, I will use this physical copy. Thank you so much to Barbara for sending me a copy of this beautiful hardcover. And that's not all. There is one more Jenny Wirtz books that she actually sent me. And yeah, you predict correctly, it is, ta-da! This is apparently the omnibus hardcover edition of Ships of Merior and also the 3rd book in the series, Warhosts of Vestmark. That means I now already own a hardcover copy of the 1st story arc and also the 2nd story arc in Words of Light and Shadow. Seriously, thank you so much to Barbara for sending me these amazing gifts. And there is still one more, and no, this is not a Jenny Wirtz book. The last gift that I got from her is a hardcover copy of Untethered Sky by Fonda Lee. And I think this is a bit of a funny story, but first I just want to say thank you so much to Barbara for sending me these amazing gifts. And I already complained about the super expensive price of this novella. Before Book Depository closed down, if I wanted to buy a hardcover copy of Untethered Sky, it will cost me, I think, $33 US. Yeah, absolutely insane price for a single novella. It's only about 100 pages long. That price is not... Yeah, it's not justified, really. No matter how much I love a novella, I think that price, especially because this is a standard edition, it's not a special limited edition, I think that price is just robbery. And that's why I just want to say thank you so much to Barbara for sending me a copy of this. And apparently it's not only her that felt sad about my situation. And with that in mind, let's move on to the next section, the last section of today's book haul video. Time to talk about all the books that I got from traditional publishers and also the broken binding. And I got another copy of Untethered Sky. Now I have 2 copies of Untethered Sky. So the first one is sent to me, as I said, by one of my patrons. And this one, another copy of it, is sent to me not by Tor.com, but by Saga Press. Yeah, Saga Press. I must say, they have been very kind about everything that has happened and all the drama that I posted in my YouTube channel. So for those of you who missed the drama, well, not the drama, basically, I talk about how much I was so bitter about the cover design change that happened to Speaking Bones, the 4th and final book in the Dandelion Dynasty by Ken Liu. But they were so professional about this, and they actually emailed me saying that they apologize for what happened, and they promise they will try to make things better in the future. They will try to make sure that this kind of situation does not happen again. By situation, I mean cover design, changes in cover design. And on top of that, they also sent me a copy of Untethered Sky because I ranted about how expensive it is and how hard it is to actually acquire a copy of it here. But yeah, on top of sending me another copy of Untethered Sky, which I did not ask for, well, they sent me a hardcover copy of The Will of the Many by James Islington. So yeah, this is the first book in the Hierarchy series by James Islington, and this is currently still reigns as my favorite book of the year. I think it is just such an amazing book. It is a Roman-inspired epic fantasy novel with a touch of Red Rising and The Name of the Wind. Definitely a must-try if you love epic fantasy novel, and also Red Rising saga. A must-try, really. It's absolutely amazing. I already did a full spoiler review on my YouTube channel, and yes, this book is out now. Make sure to get it and read it as soon as possible. I know that you will want to reread this book when the second book, The Strength of the Few, is out in 2024. I know that I will be doing another reread of The Will of the Many by that time. And moving on to the next one, the next book that I got is a super massive book. It is Until the Last by Mike Shackle. So this one is sent to me by Mike Shackle himself. And take a look at this. This one is come personalized. Ta-da! This is drawn by the author himself, and yeah, this is an incredible book, sorry for that. But I think the Last Word trilogy, this trilogy is just criminally underrated. Even to this day, it is still very underrated. And if you love grim dark fantasy, you love action-packed grim dark fantasy that doesn't sacrifice its characterizations, definitely take a look at the Last Word trilogy. Now with this acquisition, I finally own an entire trilogy. We Are the Dead, A Fool's Hope, and also Until the Last, all of them personalized with drawing by the author inside the book. And I'm really thankful. Hopefully there will be a hardcover edition of the Last Word trilogy someday. And it's not only a physical copy of Until the Last that the author sent me. Mike Shackle also sent me this little booklet, and inside it contains all the main characters that he drew himself. I think it is amazing. Right? Yeah. And yeah, once again, if you haven't read this trilogy yet, make sure to do it as soon as possible. Alright, let's move on to the next one. Time to talk about the 5 books that I got from Orbit Books. Orbit Books, not only, I think many of you know that Orbit Books have always been very kind to me. They accept my honest reviews, whether I'm critical or not. And even then, they still send me books to read and review. And this month, I got 5 books from them. The first one is an Egyptian inspired fantasy debut, The Jassad Heir. I think this one is one of Orbit Books' biggest debut of the year. I haven't read this one, but on the back it is written, at 10 years old, the heir of Jassad fled a massacre that consumed her entire family. At 15, she buried her first body. At 20, her carefully crafted lies are starting to crumble. And yeah, get ready for an unmissable tale of shattered kingdoms, forbidden magic, and cunning royals in Shara Hassem's Egyptian-inspired epic fantasy debut. That's really all I know, really. I haven't read this one, as I said. Hopefully when I can get around to this one, hopefully I will end up loving it. Based on my record with Orbit Books though, I tend to click with Orbit Books' debut novel. And speaking of Orbit Books' debut novel, one of my favorite fantasy debuts was The God of Prayer by Gareth Hanrahan. And yeah, I finally got a copy of The Sword Defiant by Gareth Hanrahan. Now, this one doesn't take place in the same world as The God of Prayer, so this one is not a series in the Black Iron Legacy. The name of this series is Lands of the Firstborn, and supposedly this one is trying to subvert tropes in epic fantasy, classic epic fantasy. Sir Elfridge and his 9 companions who served the world from the Dark Lord, but I think they got the Dark Lord's weapon and now they have retired until a new threat, a new terrifying threat appeared, and now Elfridge has to reunite with his 9 companions again to save the world from that threat. I think that's really the premise, but also it needs to be remembered that all his 9 companions, none of them are the same as before. They are now weary travelers, some of them have actually become monsters. Yeah, that's all I know from the premise, and I look forward to reading this one. I really love The God of Prayer, I love The Shadow Saint, I like the third book, The Broken God, but hopefully this one will be another fantastic book in the first book in a new series by Gareth Hanrahan. At the very least, I know I will get an imaginative fantasy series to read. Also, I think there is a magic sword and living weapons. Magical sword is always a cool thing to have in your epic fantasy novels. Really, I cannot get enough of it. And then the next book I got from Orbit Books is The Blighted Stars by Megan E. O'Keefe. Yeah, this one is the first book in the Devoured World series, and I have read only Velocity Weapon by Megan O'Keefe. I really enjoyed that one, but unfortunately, I haven't continued past the first book in that trilogy. Now, this one, I do not think it is related to that trilogy. I forgot the name of the trilogy, sorry for that. But the first book was titled The Velocity Weapon. If I'm not mistaken, the name of that trilogy is The Protectorate. But again, I could be wrong about it. But this one is a new book in a new series. The cover art is done by Jamie Jones. And if this one is as fun and also as creative as Velocity Weapon, I think Megan O'Keefe is well known for her creativity with plot twists and all that. And I'm hoping The Blighted Stars will be as good as Velocity Weapon, or, well, if possible, even better. And the last two books that I got from Orbit Books, well, it is actually a copy of the same book. And it is a traditional published edition of The Lost War by Justin Lee Anderson. So the first one, this is an advanced reading copy sent to me by Orbit US. And this is a finished copy of the paperback by Orbit UK. And somehow I just got these two books this month. But I'm really thankful for this because I love The Lost War. I think it is an impressive fantasy novel, and I read this one back when it was still self-published. I have no idea whether there are many changes or editing, a new round of editing done toward The Lost War or not, but usually there is. But I do highly recommend you to check out this book, especially if you love D&D and also great epic fantasy with crazy revelations. Yeah, that's all I will say about it. I hope that you will enjoy it, and do tell me what you think about all the revelations. As you can probably guess, because I read The Lost War in its self-published fantasy state, well, I've been waiting for the sequel, The Bitter Crown, for years now, and it will finally be released this year. But I think I definitely will have to reread The Lost War first before, jumping into the second book, The Bitter Crown. And then the next book that I got, now some of you might be excited about this, but this is probably the most hyped fantasy book of the year so far. I see this book everywhere. It's like Tom Holland seeing the face of Tony Stark everywhere. So this is The Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Now, I did not buy this one. This was sent to me by the publisher, and I accepted this without doing any detailed research toward what The Fourth Wing is, because I keep on seeing this everywhere. So I thought this would be an amazing epic fantasy novel with dragons. I think the premise of this one is a Dragon Academy. If you do not graduate from it, you either die or you graduate. Yeah, that's really the premise. Graduate or die. But I did not know that this is fantasy romance or romance fantasy. I don't know what to call it, but if you check out my Instagram story, I open some random pages, and every random page that I open is either the character are horny or they're banging each other brains out. So yeah, I don't know whether it was just luck or not, but I heard from plenty of my friends that I think there are too detailed sexual scenes, and then many moments of pining for each other. Yeah, that's all I know really. I have no idea whether this one will be suitable for me or not, but I got about more than 70 messages saying that I really should read this book, and most likely I will hate it and then make a video out of it. I don't know why so many messages told me to do that, but let's see whether I will do that or not, okay? At the very least, the book is gorgeous. Yeah, I really love the gold color, but so far, based on the first two chapters that I've read, I really do not think this one will be suitable for me. The writing felt very YA. That's one of my issues with it. Okay, I expect my issues with The Fourth Wing will only grow as I progress through the book. But I don't know, maybe I could be proven wrong about this. And if that really happens, I mean, this one currently has a 4.72 average rating on Goodreads out of 20,000 ratings. And yeah, I think that is absolutely insane. If you have read this book, do tell me what do you think about it. If you have not, do you plan to read The Fourth Wing or not? I'm going to assume that you have seen this book everywhere, just like I did. Now let's talk about one more book, and then I will move on to talk about the broken binding books that I got this month. So I'm going to mention The Art of Prophecy by Wesley Chu. This one is sent to me by Tor UK, and I'm so thankful for this one. I've been waiting for the UK hardcover edition of The Art of Prophecy by Wesley Chu for a while now. Elliot Brooks did a spoiler-free review on this one, and I have wanted to read this one ever since then. I really wanted to. And yeah, now that I own a copy of it, and with the arrival of The Art of Destiny this year, I am keeping my fingers crossed I will be able to get around to this one within this year. But if not, it will definitely happen within next year when the last book I don't know what the title is, but I predict it will be The Art of War. Yeah, I predict that will be the title of the third and final book of the trilogy. Is out next year. This beautiful cover art is done by Tran Nguyen, and this is the first physical book that I own that is published by Daphne Press, which is a branch of Illumicrate. And one more thing, this is something you really have to take a look. This book, it has one of the most beautiful map I have ever seen. Take a look at this. Wow, right? So pretty. It is so pretty. Now let's talk about all the 4 books that I got from the Broken Binding this month. And because I just talked about The Art of Prophecy, well, the Broken Binding was kind enough to send me their special edition of The Art of Prophecy by Wesley Chu. This is essentially the same content, but it is signed, and it also has the same end paper, the same beautiful end paper, but different color scheme to the cover art. And of course, spray edges, digitally sprayed edges. And the cover art is again the same, done by Tran Nguyen. But this one, of course, comes with a different naked hardcover. Beautiful. It is beautiful, and this is written on the spine. She had learned from experience that murder was a terrible way to start a relationship. Yeah, no kidding. But yeah, thank you so much to the Broken Binding for sending me a copy of this one. Hopefully they will do a beautiful special edition of The Art of Destiny as well. And then the next book that I got from them is most likely their most beautiful special edition so far. And it is The Bone Ships by R.J. Barker. Yeah, this one is absolutely gorgeous. Now, this is the same cover art as the paperback edition that is published by Orbit Books. The same spine and also the same back cover. But take a look at the spray edges. This one is illustrated by Katrina Paints, and she did a terrific job not only on the spray edges but also on the naked hardcover, which you really have to take a look. Ta-da! It's so beautiful, right? Hold on, I'm going to open this. This is the naked hardcover of Bone Ships, the Broken Binding edition. This is the spine, this is the back cover, and that's not all, because not only this is signed, but this also comes with the custom end paper, front end paper, and also back end paper. All of them illustrated by Katrina Paints. Amazing stuff, really. I look forward to receiving my copy of Call of the Bone Ships and finally the Bone Ship Wakes. And if you haven't read anything by R.J. Barker yet, I highly recommend to check out anything by him, really, because Age of Assassin is a great book, the Wounded Kingdom trilogy is a great trilogy, and also the Bone Ships or the Tide Child trilogy is also an incredible trilogy. Everything published by him to this day is still underrated, and I think it deserves more attention and readership from fantasy readers. And finally, the last 2 books that I got from the Broken Binding are 2 massive books, and it is The Root of Chaos duology. Ta-da! The first one is The Priory of the Orange Tree. This is why I said at the beginning of this video I probably shouldn't have gotten a hardcover copy of The Priory of the Orange Tree, because I got this special edition sent to me by the Broken Binding. Thank you so much for them. And yeah, a copy of The Day of Fallen Night as well. And of course, you have to take a look at the spray edges. Ta-da! It is so pretty, right? And yeah, the naked hardcover also comes with a custom design. And I look forward to reading this series as soon as I can. Now for the remaining 7 books, yes, there are still 7 books, I will just go through them briefly. These are the 7 books that I got from Yen Press, and some of them might be suitable to my taste. Honestly speaking, I have no idea whether these will be suitable for me or not, but I cannot know until I really tried them, right? But the first one, I think this is a romance novel, How to Win Her Heart on the Insert Number, Try by Ichine Kamijo. I don't know too much about this one. I think this is a romance novel. And at the back, it is written, Can Love Blossom Out of Friendship? Now, this isn't the kind of novel that I usually read, but who knows, maybe someday I might give this a try and maybe I will end up enjoying it. And then the remaining books that I got, all of them are manga. And I just want to say thank you so much to Yen Press for sending me these 6 books. The first one is Magical Girl Incident, which I think will be suitable to those of you who love a magical girl like Sailor Moon. Not gonna lie, I did watch Sailor Moon when I was a kid and I enjoyed watching it. Sailor Moon is awesome, not gonna lie. I don't know whether Sailor Moon will be suitable for me as an adult or not, but back when I was still a kid, I did enjoy watching that anime. And then the next one that I got, I guarantee you that this is an isekai. Yeah, an isekai story. I guarantee you, if you know what isekai is, well, that's basically a portal fantasy, but just hear this title. Reborn as a vending machine, I now wander the dungeon. Reborn as a vending machine. Yeah, I think, look, this is the case with a lot of isekai novel. It's isekai manga or novel really, but isekai is a really popular subgenre in Japan and also in the West. But admittedly, they're not really suitable for me. A lot of isekai manga or anime that I tried, even though they're so popular like ReZero, I basically just do not click with isekai story. But this one, I think this one sounds like a comedy. And who knows, I did open a few pages and I got a laugh out of it because it's just so ridiculous. Hopefully the rest of the story is actually really good, hopefully. And then I also got a manhwa version of Business Proposal. Now this most likely will not be for you who only read grimdark fantasy or adult epic fantasy novel. Well, that's me basically, but somehow I have actually watched the K-drama of this one. I watched it with my wife and I ended up having quite a bit of fun watching the K-drama. And I think this one, the manhwa, will be a comedy, a romantic comedy. So if you're into that and you also love K-drama, take a look at this manhwa, or well, watch the K-drama. It's very, very cliche, but you just can't help but smile sometimes, because sometimes I think all you need is just, well, something predictable and also something that you can watch without thinking too much. And for the next two that I got, I will admit I know nothing about them. I knew about these two only because Yen Press sent me these two manga series and I'm thankful for them. This one is Yokohama Station and the other one is What This World Is Made Of by Shin Yamamoto. Yokohama Station is done by Yuba Isukari with an art by Gonbe Shinkawa. The artwork is beautiful in this one. I haven't taken a look at this one, What This World Is Made Of. But just like all manga really, I try to read probably about 1 up to 5 or 10 volumes sometimes before deciding whether the manga series will be for me or not. And I will do the same for this one. And finally, the last book that I got, the last manga that I got, is the manga adaptation of Elden Ring. I didn't even know there is a manga adaptation of Elden Ring. But after opening a few pages of this one, I want to probably give you a warning first. Do not expect a dark and super detailed world building and lore story inside this manga adaptation. This one surprisingly is very humorous. Yeah, I know Elden Ring, especially the video game, doesn't really match a humorous tone. It is not comedy at all. It is bleak, it is dark, and sometimes it is depressing. But this one, I think, is trying the comedy approach in the world of Elden Ring. And it's so ridiculous. That's really all I can say about it for now. Hopefully, the rest of the manga series will be as good or even better. But yeah, I did get a good laugh out of Elden Ring manga adaptation. Thank you so much to Yen Press for sending me all these 7 books. So yeah, that's really the biggest monthly book haul of the year so far. More than 30 books. And I just want to say thank you so much to all traditional publishers, also published fantasy authors, and also to my friend Barbara for sending me all these books. It means a lot, seriously. And also the Broken Binding, thank you so much for sending me 4 special edition this month. It seems like the Broken Binding only gets better and better every day, and hopefully they will keep on improving themselves in both production, customer service. So that's it. That's the end of today's book haul video. Do let me know what you think about my book haul video, and of course do tell me what books and how many books you got this month. As always, thank you so much for watching and thank you for your support. Bye bye. Lastly, I want to say thank you so much once again to all my patrons who keep on supporting me.